White House observing instances of voter suppression in Georgia and other states that adopted some of these laws over the last 2 years?
Look, we have seen ourselves, I just laid out, we've seen ourselves from what legislation, state legislations that we have seen across the country that is suppressing the right to vote.
But doesn't that record turnout show that Georgia voters are finding ways to vote even amid
Look, I'm not going to get into specifics of what Georgia voters are doing. What I am saying is that, generally speaking, again, more broadly speaking, of course, high turnout and voter suppression can take place at the same time.
President Biden last year likened the new Georgia voting law to, quote, Jim Crow in the 21st century, but turnout so far in the state's midterm elections has smashed midterm records. Today it topped 1 million votes overall. That's about 70% more than 2018, on par with presidential election turnout. Was President Biden wrong with his assessment of Georgia's voting law, or does he stand by that Jim Crow comparison?
So, as you know, I got to be careful. I cannot get into politics from here, so won't comment specifically on that race or on the elections or the data that's coming out of Georgia. But the president has been very clear that based on the big lie, there have been a host of anti-voter policies forced on states that challenge America's fundamental right to vote, right? The access to voting. And so this is against our most basic values, including respect for the law and the Constitution. And speaking generally, of course, more broadly, high turnout and voter suppression can take place at the same time. They don't have to be, one doesn't have to happen on its own. They could be happening at the same time. But
Karine, Saudi Arabia's energy minister said today that Saudi has been the mature guys or mature partner in this dispute between the United States and Saudi. Just wanted to see if the White House had a reaction to that.
So let me just say a couple of things at the top here. This is a relationship that was built, and I've said this also many times, over several decades on a bipartisan basis. So the president is going to strategically think through what the review process is and how we move forward with this relationship. He's going to take his time to consult with members of both parties, with partners, allies, inform our consultations and review. I'm certainly not going to comment on any specific statement that you just laid out.
It seems like a little bit more conciliatory language, though, than you've been using for the last couple of weeks.
I think we've been very clear. Look, I'm not going to get into any tit or tat here from the podium about what someone may have said in Saudi Arabia, but I'm just going to lay out how this president sees this relationship and how this president sees this relationship moving forward.
So why doesn't he lean more on some of that language than continuing to repeat this "we reduce the deficit" thing that feels like sort of irrelevant?
No, the reduce the deficit is real. $1.4 trillion. That's what he talked about just last week, and that is historic as well. In 1 year, that's what the president has been able to do. Those are real numbers that matter as we talk about inflation, as we talk about the economy.
It just happened on its own.
No, but it is actually the policies that he has taken that has helped reduce the deficit. Dealing with middle-class families that you are not seeing currently. You're not seeing currently from Republicans. I got to move on because we don't have a lot of space. What? No, wait. What? Go ahead.